Legal cases, legal issues, legal matters. You're watching WFTV's Law Talk with anchor Christopher Heath and expert legal analyst, attorney Mark NeJame.
All right, let's talk about some of the current cases, issues, and legal matters that our viewers are talking about. Joining me today is legal analyst, attorney Mark NeJame of the NeJame Law Firm, and Eric Barker, a senior partner in the criminal division over at NeJame. Sensitive topic today, and that is date rape. And date rape is a word I think we use in the public. The legal definition really is more just about rape.
Right, it's a term of art rather than a legal term, but it's entered into our vernacular, and it describes a generalized area where there's a familiarity between two people. As we were talking before we went on set, you were talking about how, you know, traditional concepts of rape are some stranger attacking somebody and then, you know, causing sexual violence upon them. Date rape is still sexual violence if in fact a rape occurred. But the difference is that there's a familiar, or there's a relationship between two people. They spend time together, they go out on a traditional date or whatever, and then there's an allegation of sexual abuse. I've always found fascinating, I've actually lectured about it, we've handled, I couldn't even tell you how many cases over the years, on both sides of it, because in this area, I've often said there's more injustices when it comes to the issue of date rape than any other area of the law. There's more innocent people who get falsely accused and more guilty people who get acquitted than any other area. Why? Because it's typically he said, she said, whatever. It's a situation where two people are together. Usually it's acknowledged that they were together. But the issue then becomes, was it consensual or non-consensual?
And Eric, that gets into really figuring out what happened. Because as Mark said, usually it's kind of taken, you know, at face value that some sort of sexual encounter happened. So we don't have to prove whether or not there was intercourse of some nature. It is, was it consensual? And that gets to be a very hefty issue.
Right. A lot of times there's a delay between the sexual act and the reporting of it. And so it's very important. Number one, if you're a rape victim, that no matter how embarrassed you are, to go talk to authorities, to get testing done, because you need to preserve the evidence. If you preserve the evidence, then it cuts it down to the defense, is it consensual or not? And what can happen is, for instance, the detective talks to the suspect and asks, hey, did you guys go out? Did you have intercourse? And the suspect says no. Well, they've got his DNA, so now he's lied about it, so now his defense of, oh, it was consensual, doesn't hold as much weight.
And that gets into another question of, if you are somebody that gets accused, maybe you feel like, you know, that it was consensual, or maybe it was consensual. I mean, there's a lot in play there. This is one of those issues where both we need to be sympathetic to the person who is, you know, saying that they were a victim, but also at the same time, understanding person getting accused, they've got rights too, and they may be looking at this and saying, wait, hold on, I didn't do anything wrong. Correct?
An excellent point, Chris. We see both sides of it. In our civil division, we have brought lawsuits and bring lawsuits against those who are accused in institutions which might be negligent in allowing these things to have happened. And on the other hand, we represent people who've had these accusations made against them. And many times they're false, and sometimes they clearly have merit. And so it's just as you talk about, you have to get the whole picture. You have to understand all the facts that go into it. And as Eric brought out, credibility is everything in these cases. And if in fact you lie once, then it's presumed that everything else is questionable. Everything else has a credibility issue. And that goes to one who's claiming to be a victim, and it also goes to one who's accused, because it's usually just those two people. And so the credibility, the honesty, it means everything. So as to both of them, and it's really not, you know, telling people to go hire somebody to spend money, but you really should get the advice of counsel. And if you are, as Eric said, a victim, and believe you're a victim, report it to law enforcement. And similarly, if you're accused, you want to get counsel so that you know your rights and that you can navigate this properly, legally, and in your best interest.
And Eric, you kind of touched on this a bit. You know, go speak to somebody, and I think that cuts both ways. Speak to somebody, find out what's at play here. What is it? Whether you are the person being accused or the person making the accusations, go talk to somebody.
Someone falsely accused can also preserve evidence right away. A lot of times this might happen at a party where there's some drinking going on, and so you can go get witnesses to write a statement immediately. Hey, the claimant was all over the guy. or something like that, because these witnesses might not be interviewed for 6 months and they may forget. You can also get videos, surveillance videos, if you're at a party or something, or somewhere else where you may be walking into a convenience store where the date is making advances, but that surveillance video may not be around if she makes an accusation 4 months from now.
And if I could add, why these are so perplexing many times is because people party, they drink, they do drugs, and so they might have a skewed perception of what happens. So somebody who might go home and say, oh no, I was kissing on him, I told him no, but yet he did this, they might think that they were to blame, when in fact the accused went too far. On the other hand, the accused might have gotten consent, and then the other person, the alleged victim, ended up getting some shame. They were shamed by their roommate or their parents, or they were cheating on somebody and they needed to make up a story. It's why these stories are so perplexing, and they can fall on either way, and full investigation needs to be done and the evidence preserved right from the onset, regardless of what side you're on.
And yeah, and you touched on this to begin with. I mean, this is such a sensitive topic because it does start off relatively innocent. It starts off with two people cordially together, and something happens, and that's where both an attorney gets involved, the law gets involved, and the courts get involved. So it's something obviously to definitely pay attention to and be aware of.
And date rape is a term of art. The penalties are just as severe. They're under the statute. There's no exception, well, we were on a date, therefore the penalties are less. No, the statute still applies.
All right. Eric, thank you very much. Mark, thank you as always. If you'd like to watch more of these law talks, visit our website, WFTV.com/legal, or join us each week right here on Facebook. I'm Christopher Heath, and thanks for watching.
WFTV's Law Talk was brought courtesy of the Personal Injury and Accident Division of NeJame Law.